So, what happens when one of the world's most powerful industrial nations gets its primary energy lifeline just violently cut off? Well, they don't just patch up the damage, they try to build an entirely new future. Today, we're diving into how a massive geopolitical crisis is forcing Germany to make a radical, multi-billion-dollar bet on a single molecule: hydrogen. Okay, let's get right into it, because at the very heart of this story is this incredible contradiction. See, to survive the immediate energy shock, Germany is actually taking a step backward, firing up old, polluting, coal-fired power plants. But at the exact same time, it's taking a giant leap forward, hitting the accelerator on a plan for a futuristic economy all powered by green hydrogen. And you know, that step back, it has a real human cost. This quote comes from someone living in a German region hit hard by mining, and it's a gut-wrenching description of what that industry's expansion leaves behind. It's a really grim reminder of the legacy of these old energy sources, environmental damage, and communities just uprooted. But while that grim reality is unfolding on the ground, this is the vision Germany is chasing at the same time. It's that leap forward into an economy powered by hydrogen, the clean energy carrier that's at the absolute center of Germany's plan to decarbonize and secure its future. The contrast, honestly, it couldn't be more stark. So what on earth forced this radical pivot? Well, it wasn't some gradual, planned-out policy shift, no. It was a sudden, violent event deep beneath the Baltic Sea. We're talking about an unprecedented act of industrial sabotage that instantly redrew the energy map of Europe, the destruction of the Nord Stream pipelines. Let's just walk through the timeline, because it all happened so fast. Tensions were already incredibly high. Back in February, Germany suspended Nord Stream 2. By the end of August, Russia had shut off all gas through Nord Stream 1. And then, on September 26th, it happened. A first explosion, 2 in the morning, followed by a second set that evening. Just 4 days later, the UN was officially told these were not accidents, they were deliberate detonations, using what they described as several hundred kilos of explosives. And this wasn't just speculation, we're talking hard data to back it up. Seismometers actually registered the blasts. The first one, in the Danish economic zone, measured a 2.3 on the Richter scale. The later explosions hit 2.1. Investigators were clear. These were not natural tremors. They were underwater explosions. Period. So this act of sabotage, it wasn't just a disaster. It was the catalyst. It turned a long-term goal into an immediate, urgent necessity. The German government itself said that the fundamentally changed energy markets made updating its national strategy more important than ever. The crisis basically forced their hand. And this brings us right to that crucial two-track response. On one hand, you have the short-term fix. Do whatever it takes to keep the lights on, even if it means more pollution. But on the other hand, you have the long-term pivot. Use this very crisis as a springboard to accelerate the move to a completely new energy system, one built around hydrogen. Okay, before we go any deeper into the plan, let's just quickly get on the same page. What exactly is green hydrogen? Well, to put it simply, it's hydrogen that's created using renewable electricity. So think wind or solar power to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. That whole process is called electrolysis. It's green because the energy source is totally clean, so there are no carbon emissions. All right, so this brings us to Germany's master plan, the updated National Hydrogen Strategy. And this isn't just some policy paper. You should think of it as a blueprint for re-engineering a massive chunk of the German economy. And it comes with incredibly ambitious targets and really clear strategic pillars to get them there. The strategy really rests on 4 key pillars. First up, making sure there's enough hydrogen available, both from producing it at home and from importing it. Second, building out the infrastructure, all the pipelines and terminals you need to move it around. Third, actually getting key industries to use it. And finally, creating the legal and financial rules to make the whole thing possible. And the ambition here is, well, it's staggering. Germany has now doubled its target for making green hydrogen right there at home. The new goal is at least 10 gigawatts by 2030. That is a massive increase. And it's a super clear signal that this crisis has only made them more determined to build a secure, domestic supply. So how are they going to move all that hydrogen around? Well, they're planning what they call an initial hydrogen startup grid. We're talking over 1,800 kilometers of pipelines by 2028, and a lot of that is actually going to be repurposed from existing natural gas lines. To give you some perspective, that's roughly the distance from Berlin all the way to Rome. So this isn't some far-off dream. It's a real infrastructure project for the very near future. But here's the thing. Even with that huge domestic build-out, Germany knows it can't go it alone. By 2030, the country fully expects to import somewhere between 50 and 70% of its hydrogen. And that's a strategic choice, right? The plan is to build a global network of partners and supply chains, which would totally reshape Germany's role in the world energy market. So when you boil it all down, this entire strategy is a really high-stakes bet. It's a multi-billion-dollar wager on a new technology and a new global market. Whether it succeeds or fails will all come down to how well it can transform key parts of the German economy, and of course, overcome the huge challenges that are still ahead. So where is all this hydrogen actually going to be used? Well, the focus is on the sectors that are the hardest to decarbonize. Think heavy industry, like making steel and chemicals, which need crazy amounts of heat that batteries just can't provide. It's also critical for things like long-haul trucks, aviation, and shipping, areas where batteries just don't have enough juice. And to really wrap your head around the scale of this challenge, just look at the projected demand. By 2030, Germany is going to need around 130 terawatt hours. That's enough energy to power something like 13 million homes for a year. But fast forward to 2045, and the demand from industry alone could skyrocket to 440 terawatt hours. This projected explosive growth is exactly why they have to start to ramp up right now. So Germany is literally forging a new energy future from the ashes of a crisis, betting big on hydrogen to secure its independence and hit its climate goals. But the crucial question is still out there. In escaping one dependency, is it just creating new ones? Trading a reliance on Russian pipelines for a new global hydrogen supply chain? Well, that brings a whole new set of risks. And that is the gamble that is going to define Germany's future.